In this video, we will learn about vocabulary. Now, vocabulary, you either know the meaning or you don't know the meaning. Again, there are two patterns to it. Sometimes synonyms and antonym questions come in a context, right? Passage-oriented synonyms and antonyms, usually found in your reading comprehension. There, it becomes easy for you because there is a context to help you, giving you clues to identify the meaning of that highlighted word. But what happens when it comes individually, right? Independently? Then it's a challenge. That's when we apply the concept of root words. So let's go ahead and learn to identify errors pertaining to vocabulary through some example sentences. Our first example here is, the innocence of the child was obliterated due to hard labor. And the highlighted word is obliterated. Lucky for us, we have a context here. And the options are maintained, increased, destroyed, and of course no improvement. So we're talking about something of the child, which is the innocence, right, let's leave that as a blank, due to hard labor. So there has been a change. There is hard labor, which is the reason or the cause by which the innocence of the child has changed, or something has happened to it. So this word obliterated, we can figure out whether it needs a positive meaning or a negative meaning to begin with, right? So if you logically try and understand the meaning that the sentence is trying to convey, we understand that obliterated has to have a negative meaning, because I have a reason and then I have the statement saying innocence of the child. So something happened to change that. Now let's look at our options. I have maintained, increased, and destroyed. Now we need to go ahead and try and figure out, this is one way of looking at this, right? Looking at what the meaning that we need. Do we need a positive or a negative meaning? And the other way to go about is root words. Now ob is a Latin root word which means down or against, or toward, right? Some examples would be obstacle, objection, obstruction, right? So all of these are negative words. So I understand again, so this is a alternate way of looking at it. So my knowledge on this root word ob can help me identify that it pretty much or primarily gives me a negative meaning. And from the options again, the only option that is giving me that negative meaning is destroyed, option C. So let's go ahead and make that change. So the innocence of the child was destroyed due to hard labor, right? So in this context, if you saw, we applied about 2-3 techniques, right? One is we looked at the cause and effect relationship, due to being our clue word here, right? The reason is given hard labor, so something happened to the innocence of the child, something changed, and pretty much we figured out the context also helping us in mentioning that we need a negative meaning word. And then from the options we understand that the only option that gives us a negative meaning is option C. So, and the third manner in which we arrive at the answer is root word option, obliterated. Ob is a Latin root word which means toward, against, down. I gave you some example words, and then again that helped us arrive at the meaning of the obliterated word. Now let's move on to our next example. I adapted a new method to solve the problem. Okay, so I adapted is the highlighted phrase, and my options are I have been adopted, option A, I adopted, option B, and I was adapted, option C. So let's understand the meaning of the sentence again. Now adapt as a word, which means to make suitable, to fit for a specific use or situation, right? That's the meaning of adapt. Now is that what the context is giving me? Or let's look at our options. I have been adopted. Now I have been adopted means somebody has gone ahead and raised you to be their own child, right? That's being adopted, to be taken into one's family and raised as one's own child. The second option, option B, I adopted. In this context, adopted for the option B means I took and followed a particular course of action, like I adopted a new technique, right? That's the meaning that I adopted option B gives. I was adapted. Now that is in itself is incorrect, because we just saw the meaning of the word adapt, right? Like if I have to give you an example, like a species adapting to a particular climate, right? Climatic conditions, right? So in this context, look at the context. I adapted a new method to solve the problem? No, I adopted a new method to solve the problem. Option B, because we just saw I adopted means I take and follow a particular course of action, right? So let's make that change. I adopted a new method to solve the problem, and option B is our answer. Let's move to our third example. Dust is a problem particular to India. And the highlighted phrase or the word is particular, and the option is option A, pathetic, option B, pollution, option C, peculiar, and then I have no improvement. And the highlighted word is particular. So we need to look and see if the word particular is the right fit in the context as it is, or do we need to change that with any of the options provided. Now let's understand the meaning of the word particular. Particular means of or belonging to or associated with a specific group, person, thing, category, right? It's not general or universal, but dust is universal, right? It's not specific to India, right? So particular is ruled out. Our next option is pathetic. Pathetic is arousing, sympathy, compassion. That again is not relevant in this context. We're talking about dust here. Option B, pollution. Dust is a problem. Pollution to India, problem is a noun, and then pollution also again is a noun. We normally don't have, parts of speech coming together. With the only exception would be an adjective, I would say, right? Because we say he is a hot and witty boy, right? Or this blue oval water bottle. So the exception will be adjectives, but on the other hand, this also doesn't grammatically fit. Dust is a problem, pollution to India, incorrect. Now what is the meaning of peculiar? Peculiar is something odd, something strange, right? Why is dust a problem? It's pretty strange or odd that it's a problem only in India, right? Distinct from the rest of the group. So that is the meaning that we need in this context. Dust is a problem peculiar to India. Something odd and strange about we not being able to get rid of this problem of dust, right? So let's make that change. Alright, so dust is a problem peculiar to India, option C.
So if the word comes in a context, great, reading comprehension and close passage will no longer pose a challenge for you. But if it is appearing independently, then root words will help you crack the answer. So continue to read and apply context clues to get familiar with the meanings of new and unfamiliar words. Let's move to our next component in finding errors.